I'm still shaking as I write this. It's been 3 days since everything came crashing down, and I honestly don't know if I'm angrier at her or at myself for being so completely blind. My therapist says I need to process this by writing it out, and honestly, I need to tell someone who isn't going to look at me with those pitying eyes like I'm the world's biggest idiot. So here goes nothing. My best friend, let's call her Jenna, has been sabotaging my life for at least the past 5 years, maybe longer. Jobs I didn't get, relationships that mysteriously fell apart, opportunities that vanished into thin air, friendships that suddenly turned cold, it was all her. Every single thing. And I only found out because she accidentally CC'd me on an email meant for someone else. I know how this sounds. I know it sounds like some paranoid conspiracy theory or the plot of a Lifetime movie. Trust me, I've been going over this in my head nonstop, wondering if I'm losing it. But I have proof. Screenshots, saved emails, text messages. My lawyer, yes, I got a lawyer, says it's some of the most clear-cut documentation of tortious interference and defamation she's ever seen. But let me back up, because this story doesn't start 3 days ago. It starts 15 years ago, when I met Jenna in college. I met Jenna during freshman orientation at UC Berkeley. Well, technically I met her when she threw up in the bushes outside our dorm and I held her hair back. Not exactly a meet cute, but she always joked that I'd literally seen her at her worst on day 1, so everything after that was an improvement. We were randomly assigned as roommates, which felt like fate at the time. Isn't it funny how things that seem like destiny can turn out to be just unfortunate coincidence? Jenna was from Orange County, came from money, not like stupid rich, but comfortable. Her dad was some kind of consultant, her mom ran a successful interior design business. She had that effortless confidence that came from never really having to worry about anything. I, on the other hand, was there on a combination of scholarships and student loans that made my stomach hurt to think about. First-generation college student, parents worked blue-collar jobs their whole lives. I loved them fiercely, but I also carried this chip on my shoulder about making it, about proving that I belonged in these spaces. Jenna and I just clicked. She was funny, smart, always up for an adventure. She'd drag me to parties when I was too focused on studying, and I'd help her actually finish her papers before the deadlines. We balanced each other out. Or so I thought. There were little things, even back then, that I explained away. Like how she'd always need to borrow my notes right before a test, then somehow score higher than me even though I'd been to every lecture. Or how guys I was interested in would suddenly start acting weird around me after meeting her. Or how she'd accidentally spill drinks on my outfits before we went out, then loan me something of hers that was just slightly wrong, too tight, too loose, wrong color for my skin tone. But these were small things. Petty things. The kind of stuff that happens when you live in close quarters with someone. I told myself I was being oversensitive, reading too much into normal college drama. After graduation, we both stayed in the Bay Area. Jenna got a job at a PR firm through a family connection, of course, and I ground my way through various marketing coordinator positions, trying to build experience and pay down my loans. We got an apartment together in Oakland, and for a few years, life was pretty good. We had our routines. Sunday brunch at this little place near Lake Merritt. weekly bachelor watch parties. We'd alternate cooking dinner, go to workout classes together, meet up with our combined friend group for happy hours. I dated sporadically, nothing serious, and Jenna cycled through boyfriends every few months. She was always the one guys noticed first. I made my peace with being the funny friend, the one who was really cool once you got to know her. Looking back now with the clarity of hindsight, and, let's be honest, rage, I can see the pattern so clearly. But at the time, each incident felt isolated, explainable, just bad luck. The first big one was the job at Salesforce. I was 26, had been working at a small marketing agency for 2 years, and I was burned out. Like, crying in the bathroom at work burned out. I applied for a marketing manager position at Salesforce on a whim, not really expecting anything. But then I got a phone screening. Then a first-round interview. Then a second round. I was so excited I could barely function. Jenna was amazing through the whole process. She helped me pick out interview outfits, did mock interviews with me, listened to me stress spiral about whether I was qualified enough. The night before my final interview, she even made my favorite pasta dish and told me I was going to kill it. I thought the final interview went really well. Like, really well. I connected with the team, had great answers, felt that rare surge of confidence where you know you belonged in the room. The hiring manager even walked me out and said, "We'll be in touch very soon." Then, nothing. For 2 weeks, silence. When the rejection email finally came, it was weirdly curt. Just, "We've decided to move forward with other candidates. Thank you for your interest." I was devastated. Jenna made me cookies and we watched sad movies and she told me that obviously they didn't deserve me anyway. I believed her. I believed that sometimes things just don't work out, that maybe someone internal got the job, that I'd have other opportunities. What I didn't know, what I wouldn't find out until 3 days ago, was that Jenna had contacted the hiring manager on LinkedIn, posing as a concerned former colleague, and told her that I had a serious problem with alcohol and had been let go from my previous job for showing up drunk. None of which was even remotely true. Then there was Marcus. I met Marcus at a friend's birthday party when I was 28. He was a software engineer, kind of quiet but in a sweet way, and we just connected. Like, really connected. We talked for 3 hours at that party, exchanged numbers, started texting constantly. Our first date lasted until 2 a.m. because neither of us wanted it to end. I remember thinking, oh. So this is what it's supposed to feel like. I introduced him to Jenna after we'd been dating for about a month. She seemed happy for me, said he seemed great, all the right things. They got along well, maybe a little too well, but I told myself I was being paranoid and insecure. Isn't it good when your boyfriend and best friend get along? Marcus and I dated for 6 months. He met my parents. I met his. We talked about moving in together. And then, suddenly, he started pulling away. Canceling plans. Being distant during the time we did spend together. When I asked what was wrong, he'd say nothing, everything was fine, he was just stressed with work. Then he broke up with me. Over text. After 6 months, he broke up with me over text. The message said something like, "I think we want different things. I need to focus on myself right now. I'm sorry." I was heartbroken. I mean, completely shattered. And Jenna was right there, holding me while I cried, telling me he was a coward, that I deserved so much better, that any guy who breaks up over text is garbage anyway. Want to know what really happened? Jenna told Marcus that I'd been cheating on him. She showed him evidence, texts from my phone that she'd somehow accessed and fabricated conversations with. She created an entire fictional affair, complete with fake screenshots, and convinced him that I'd been lying to him for months. He believed her. Why wouldn't he? She was my best friend. Why would my best friend lie about something like that? The unraveling. Over the next few years, there were more incidents. A promotion I didn't get after being told I was a shoo-in. A freelance client who suddenly ghosted me. A guy I'd been seeing who abruptly stopped calling. My college friend Katie who unfollowed me on everything and stopped responding to my texts. Each time, Jenna was my shoulder to cry on. Each time, she had explanations that made sense. The promotion probably went to someone internal. The client was probably flaky anyway. The guy wasn't right for me. Katie had always been kind of flaky, remember? And I believed her. Of course I believed her. She was my best friend. The person who knew me better than anyone. The person who'd been there for every high and low of my adult life. I did notice that Jenna's career seemed to be going remarkably well while mine stagnated. She'd moved to a bigger PR firm, gotten promoted to senior director, bought a condo in Rockridge. Meanwhile, I was still bouncing between okay-ish marketing jobs, never quite breaking through to the next level. But I told myself that was just how things worked sometimes. Some people catch breaks. Some people have to grind harder. And anyway, Jenna deserved her success. She was good at her job. I'm laughing bitterly as I write this. The cognitive dissonance is almost impressive. About 8 months ago, I started dating someone new. His name is Alex, and he's a teacher, middle school science. Not my usual type. I'd typically gone for tech guys, finance guys, that whole scene, but there was something so genuine about him. He actually listened when I talked. He remembered small things I mentioned. He made me laugh without trying too hard. I was nervous to introduce him to Jenna. After Marcus, after a few other relationships that had imploded mysteriously, I had this superstitious dread. But I couldn't keep someone I was serious about separate from my best friend forever. That would be weird. They met for dinner about 3 months ago. Jenna was strange. She was polite, asked Alex all the right questions, laughed at his jokes. But there was something brittle about it, something I couldn't quite name. When Alex went to the bathroom, she said, "He seems nice," in this tone that somehow made "nice" sound like an insult. Later that night, she texted me, "Happy for you. He's definitely different from your usual type. In a good way probably lol." I told Alex that night that Jenna could be a bit intense, that she was protective of me. He just smiled and said he understood, good friends were protective. God, he's so much better than I deserve. This is where everything changes. Where my entire understanding of my life for the past 15 years gets ripped apart and reassembled into something unrecognizable. It was Monday afternoon. I was working from home, half watching some true crime documentary while responding to emails. My phone buzzed with a new email notification, and I glanced at it absently. The subject line was, Alex situation, update. I clicked on it, expecting spam or a misdirected message. Instead, I saw Jenna's email address as the sender. and it was addressed to someone named Lauren Mitchell. My first thought was that this was weird. I didn't know a Lauren Mitchell in Jenna's life. My second thought, as I started reading, was that this had to be a mistake. A joke. A fever dream. The email read, "Hey Lauren. Update on the Alex thing. I reached out to his principal like you suggested. Sent an anonymous tip about inappropriate conduct with students. Nothing specific enough to stick, but enough to get him looked at. Should make things uncomfortable enough that he'll be stressed and distracted. Men always fuck up relationships when they're stressed lol. Also planted the seed with Emma that Op has been talking shit about her. Used the thing she told me about her miscarriage. Emma's already pulled back, saw she unfollowed her on Insta. The job thing should pan out next week. Sent the hiring manager at Thompson & Co. my reference email. Same playbook as last time. They always believe the addiction story. This is honestly getting too easy. But hey, as long as she keeps buying the supportive friend act, why stop? Let me know about brunch Sunday. I'll bring mimosa supplies. J. I read it 3 times. Then 4. Then I stood up, sat down, stood up again. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold my phone. This couldn't be real. It couldn't be. But the email address was definitely Jenna's. And I knew Emma. She was a friend from my gym who'd suddenly stopped talking to me about 2 weeks ago. I'd been confused and hurt, but I'd assumed she was just busy. And Thompson & Company, that was the marketing firm where I'd just had a final interview last week. I'd been hopeful about it. And Alex. Jesus Christ, Alex. I called him immediately. It rang 4 times before he picked up, and his voice sounded strained. "Hey, I was actually just about to call you," he said. "Something weird happened today. My blood turned to ice." "What happened?" "I got called into the principal's office. She said they'd received an anonymous tip about concerning behavior with students. She wouldn't tell me specifics, just that they had to take all reports seriously and they'd be looking into it." He let out a shaky laugh. "It's insane. I would never." "I know," I said, and I was surprised by how steady my voice sounded considering I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience. "I know you wouldn't. Alex, I need to come over. Right now. I need to show you something." I screenshot the email before anything else. Then I started going through my email, my texts, everything. I was looking for Lauren Mitchell, trying to figure out who this person was and how she fit into this nightmare. I found her on LinkedIn. Lauren Mitchell, Director of Account Management at the same PR firm where Jenna worked. They'd started the same month, 5 years ago. In her profile picture, she and Jenna were at what looked like a work event, arms around each other, both laughing. They were close. Really close. And I'd never heard of her. In 5 years, Jenna had never once mentioned a coworker named Lauren. That felt significant somehow. I drove to Alex's apartment with my laptop, hands still shaking. He opened the door and immediately pulled me into a hug. "Hey, it's okay. It's going to be okay. This is just some misunderstanding." "It's not," I said into his chest. "It's not a misunderstanding. I need to show you something." We sat on his couch and I pulled up the email. I watched his face as he read it, confusion, then dawning horror, then anger. "This is from Jenna?" he asked. "Your Jenna?" "My Jenna," I confirmed, and hearing it out loud made it feel more real somehow. Alex, I think she's been doing this for years. I think she's been sabotaging my life for years and I was too blind to see it. We started going through everything. I logged into my email and started searching for patterns. And once I knew what to look for, they were everywhere. Job rejections that came right after I'd told Jenna I had a final interview. Relationships that imploded shortly after she met the guy. Friends who drifted away right after spending time with both of us. There was more too. Emails from companies I'd applied to, buried in my spam folder, asking me to confirm interviews I'd never known about because the emails had been filtered. My LinkedIn settings had been changed so that recruiters couldn't contact me directly. My privacy settings on Facebook had been altered so that my posts were only visible to a limited audience. Someone had accessed my accounts. Someone who knew my passwords, who had physical access to my devices. Someone like a roommate, a best friend. We need to document everything, Alex said. He's one of those naturally organized people, thank God, because I was starting to spiral. Screenshot everything. Print physical copies. We need to preserve this before anything can be deleted or changed. We spent 4 hours going through my digital life. Every email, every social media interaction, every text conversation. Alex made a spreadsheet, because of course he did, cataloging every incident we could identify, with dates and details. The pattern was damning, undeniable. Around midnight, my phone rang. It was Jenna. "Hey," she said, bright and cheerful. "I haven't heard from you all day. Everything okay?" I looked at Alex. He nodded. "Actually, I need to ask you something," I said, trying to keep my voice normal. "Do you know someone named Lauren Mitchell?" There was the briefest pause. Less than a second, but I heard it. "Lauren? Yeah, she works at my firm." "Why?" "Just curious," I said. "You've never mentioned her, haven't I?" Another tiny pause. "We're not that close. More like work friends." "Why are you asking about her?" "No reason," I said. "Hey, I'm actually really tired. Can I call you tomorrow?" "Sure," she said, but I could hear the suspicion in her voice now. "Is everything okay? You sound weird." "Everything's fine. Just had a long day. Talk tomorrow." I hung up and immediately blocked her number. I didn't sleep that night. Alex and I stayed up planning, documenting, trying to figure out what the hell to do. Call the police? Get a lawyer? Confront her directly? By sunrise, we'd decided, lawyer first, then confront her with legal counsel present. I found an attorney who specialized in harassment and defamation cases. Her name was Patricia Chen, and when I sent her everything we'd compiled, she called me within 2 hours. "This is very serious," she said without preamble. "What your friend has done, and I use that term loosely, constitutes several potential causes of action. Defamation, tortious interference with business relationships and prospective economic advantage, intentional infliction of emotional distress, possibly computer fraud given the account access. The email alone is incredibly damaging to her. Can we actually do something about this?" I asked. "Legally, I mean?" "Absolutely. And I'd recommend we act quickly. I'd like to send her a cease and desist letter, and I'd also recommend filing a police report for the unauthorized access to your accounts. Depending on what else we uncover, we may want to pursue a civil suit." Everything moved very quickly after that. Patricia sent the cease and desist letter that afternoon. It was delivered to both Jenna's home and her workplace. The fallout was immediate. Jenna called me 17 times in 3 hours. She left voice messages that ranged from confused, "What is happening? Why did I just get a legal letter?" Call me, to angry, "Are you seriously doing this? After everything I've done for you?" To desperate, "Please, we need to talk about this. There's been a misunderstanding. Please call me back." I didn't respond to any of them. Then she showed up at my apartment. I was expecting this, honestly. Patricia had warned me it might happen and advised me not to answer the door, to call the police if she wouldn't leave. But I answered anyway. I needed to see her face. I needed to see if there would be any remorse at all. She looked terrible. Her hair was messy, her eyes were red, and she was still in what looked like her work clothes from the previous day. "What the fuck is going on?" she demanded the second I opened the door. "What is this legal letter about? What are you accusing me of?" "You know exactly what you did," I said. My voice was surprisingly calm. "I have the email, Jenna. The one you sent to Lauren. About Alex, about sabotaging my job interview, about Emma. I have all of it." Her face went through about 5 different expressions in 3 seconds. Confusion, understanding, panic, and then, weirdly, relief. "Okay," she said, and let out a breath. "Okay. Can I come in? We need to talk about this." "No. Say whatever you want to say from there." She glanced around the hallway, then lowered her voice. "That email wasn't meant for you. Obviously. But you're taking it completely out of context." "Context," I repeated. "You want to give me context for why you falsely accused my boyfriend of inappropriate conduct with students? Context for why you've been sabotaging my job applications? Context for why you've been systematically ruining my life for years?" "It wasn't like that," she said, and I could see her cycling through strategies, trying to figure out which approach would work. "Look, some of those things, okay, yes, I might have interfered a little bit. But it was because I was trying to protect you." "Protect me?" "Yes. That Salesforce job? I knew someone who worked there, and I found out the team was toxic. I was saving you from a bad situation. And Marcus? He was wrong for you. I could see it even if you couldn't. You were getting too serious too fast, and you would have ended up hurt worse later on. So you lied and told him I was cheating." She faltered. "I might have exaggerated some things. But honestly, you were always talking about how you didn't know if it was serious, if you were really into him." "I never said that." "You did. You just don't remember. You were always self-sabotaging, and I was trying to save you from yourself." I stared at her. This person I'd known for 15 years. This person I'd loved like a sister. And I didn't recognize her at all. "What about Alex?" I asked quietly. "What was your excuse for Alex?" She hesitated. "He's not right for you either. You're just settling because you're scared of being alone. You tried to destroy his career. You filed a false report that could have ended everything for him. A teacher, Jenna. You tried to ruin a teacher's reputation with accusations about children. I wasn't trying to destroy his career. I just wanted him to be stressed, to be distracted, so that you'd see what he was really like under pressure." "Get out," I said. "No, wait, you have to understand. Get out." I was screaming now, and I didn't care. "Get out and never contact me again. Stay away from me, stay away from Alex, stay away from my life." "You're making a huge mistake," she said, and now her voice was turning cold. "You need me. You've always needed me. Without me, you're going to fall apart." "I needed you," I agreed. "But you were never actually there, were you? You were just destroying me slowly while pretending to help pick up the pieces." She stood there for another moment, and I saw something in her eyes that made my skin crawl. It wasn't remorse. It wasn't even anger. It was satisfaction. Like even now, even caught, she was getting something out of seeing me hurt. "You'll regret this," she said finally. "The only thing I regret is wasting 15 years on you." I closed the door in her face and locked it. The next few days were a blur of legal consultations, police reports, and unraveling just how deep the damage went. Patricia helped me file for a restraining order. We're still waiting for the hearing, but I have a temporary one in place. The police investigation into the computer access and the false report about Alex is ongoing. Apparently, what she did to Alex is particularly serious. Filing false accusations against a teacher is a crime, and his principal had to report it once she knew it was fabricated. I reached out to Emma and explained everything. She was horrified. Jenna had told her that I'd been gossiping about her miscarriage, sharing intimate details with mutual friends, mocking her for being upset about it. None of which was true. Emma actually cried when I showed her the evidence and apologized for believing Jenna. "She was so convincing," Emma said. "She showed me screenshots of texts that I thought were from you." I feel like such an idiot. "You're not an idiot," I told her. "She fooled me for 15 years. I also contacted Marcus. That was harder. We hadn't spoken in almost 3 years, and I had to track him down through a mutual friend. When I told him what had happened, he was quiet for a long time. "I'm so sorry," he finally said. "I should have talked to you directly. I should have given you a chance to explain. The evidence seemed so real." "She's very good at what she does," I said bitterly. We talked for an hour. "He's married now, has a kid on the way, seems happy. I'm glad for him. But I also mourn what we could have been if we'd been given a real chance." "The job at Thompson and Company?" I called them directly and explained the situation. The HR director was sympathetic but firm. They couldn't discuss their hiring process, but they noted my call in my file. "I probably won't get that position now, but at least they know the reference they received was fraudulent. Alex's situation is resolving, thankfully. Once his principal understood that the report was malicious and false, she became an advocate for him. The investigation was officially closed, and she wrote a letter for his file clearing him completely. He's shaken by the whole thing, but he's handling it better than I would be. I just keep thinking, he told me last night, what if she'd been smarter about it? What if she'd made accusations that were harder to disprove? I could have lost everything. I know. I keep thinking the same thing about all of it. Jenna's fall. Here's the thing that I'm still processing. Jenna is facing real consequences. Her employer found out about the cease and desist letter. I didn't contact them. Apparently someone else in the office saw the letter when it was delivered and it started circulating. In PR, your reputation is everything, and having an employee documented as engaging in harassment, defamation, and sabotage is a PR nightmare in itself. She was fired. I found out through LinkedIn, her profile suddenly listed her as between opportunities. Lauren Mitchell, her apparent partner in all this, was also let go. I guess companies don't like it when their directors conspire to ruin people's lives. A few former mutual friends have reached out. Apparently, I'm not the only one. There are at least 3 other women who've come forward saying they experienced similar things with Jenna: sabotaged relationships, mysterious job problems, friendships that fell apart for no clear reason. We're comparing notes now, building a bigger picture of her pattern. One woman, Sarah, told me that Jenna had done the same thing to her with her fiancé 7 years ago. Broke them up right before their wedding with fabricated cheating evidence. Sarah had a breakdown over it, ended up in therapy for years. I thought I was losing my mind, Sarah said. Everyone believed her version. I looked like the crazy one. How many lives has she damaged? How many people are out there who never figured out what she did? Where I am now. It's been 3 weeks since the email. 3 weeks since my life got turned inside out. I'm in therapy twice a week now. My therapist specializes in betrayal trauma, and yeah, that's apparently what this is. The violation of trust from someone so close, over such a long period of time, does real psychological damage. I'm angry. I'm so fucking angry. Some days the rage is so overwhelming I can barely function. Other days, I'm just numb. Sometimes I cry over weird things. Like I'll remember a time Jenna and I laughed until we couldn't breathe, and I'll mourn that friendship even though I know now it was never real. Alex has been incredible through all of this. Patient, supportive, never making it about him even though he was victimized too. We're taking things slow, making sure our relationship can survive this trauma. My parents flew out to stay with me for a week. I told them everything, and my mom just held me while I cried and told me it wasn't my fault, that I couldn't have known, that sometimes people are just broken in ways we can't see. I'm looking for a new apartment. I can't stay in the place I shared with Jenna. Every corner has memories that are now poisoned. Even the good memories feel tainted, because I keep wondering, was she sabotaging me even then? Was anything real? The restraining order hearing is next week. Patricia says it should be granted given the evidence and the ongoing police investigation. I'm also working on rebuilding. I reached out to the hiring managers at Salesforce, long shot, I know, but I explained the situation, and a few other companies where I'd had interviews mysteriously go south. I updated all my passwords, secured my accounts, enabled 2-factor authentication on everything. I'm treating it like recovering from identity theft, because in a way, that's what it was. She stole my identity as someone worthy of success and happiness and systematically destroyed it. What I've learned. People keep asking me how I didn't see it. How I could have been friends with someone for 15 years and not known they were destroying my life. Here's the thing, she was careful. She spaced things out. She never did enough at once to create an obvious pattern. And she was always there to comfort me afterward, to reinforce the idea that these were just unfortunate coincidences, bad luck, my own self-sabotage. It's like the boiling frog metaphor. If you drop a frog in boiling water, it'll jump out. But if you put it in cool water and slowly raise the temperature, it won't notice until it's too late. That was my life with Jenna. A slow, careful boil. I've also learned that sometimes the people closest to you are the ones you should question the most. Not in a paranoid way, but in a healthy boundaries way. Real friends don't need to control your life. Real friends don't isolate you from other relationships. Real friends celebrate your successes instead of finding ways to undermine them. The signs were there. I just didn't want to see them because seeing them would have meant losing someone I loved. Turns out I'd lost her long ago, or maybe I never had her at all. Update, because people keep asking. Yes, I'm considering writing a book about this. My therapist thinks it might be therapeutic, and honestly, if my story can help someone else recognize the signs earlier than I did, maybe some good can come from this nightmare. No, I haven't heard from Jenna directly since the restraining order was served. Her lawyer sent a letter claiming I was exaggerating and misinterpreting things, that she was the real victim here. We're not responding except through legal channels. Yes, Alex and I are still together. We actually decided to move in together, which I know might seem fast, but after everything we've been through, it feels right. He saw me at my absolute worst, betrayed, furious, sobbing on his bathroom floor, and he stayed. That means something. I got a new job. Started 2 weeks ago at a marketing firm that actually seems healthy. So far, I'm obviously going to be hypervigilant for a while. The pay is better, the team is great, and my boss specifically said during my interview that she'd heard about my situation and admired how I'd handled it professionally. Sarah, Emma, and I have formed kind of an informal support group. We meet for brunch once a week and talk through our experiences, share our healing processes. It helps to be with people who understand. And me? I'm learning to trust again. Learning to trust myself, mostly. Learning that being fooled by someone doesn't make you a fool, it makes you human. Learning that wanting to see the best in people isn't a weakness, even when those people don't deserve it. I'm also learning to be angry without guilt. For years, Jenna had me convinced that I was too sensitive, too reactive, that my emotions were excessive. Now I'm letting myself feel them all, the rage, the grief, the betrayal, without apologizing for it. Some days are better than others. Some days I wake up and I've forgotten for a moment, and then I remember and the loss hits me all over again. Not the loss of Jenna as she actually was, but the loss of who I thought she was. The loss of 15 years of memories that I can't trust anymore. But I'm here. I'm surviving. And slowly, I'm starting to believe I might actually thrive. Final thoughts. If you're reading this and something feels off about a close relationship in your life, trust your gut. If you're seeing patterns of bad luck that only seem to happen around one particular person, investigate. If someone always seems to be there to comfort you but never celebrates your successes, pay attention. Not everyone who smiles at you is your friend. Not everyone who knows your secrets will protect them. And sometimes the person destroying your life is the one holding your hand while doing it. I don't know what Jenna's endgame was. Maybe there wasn't one. Maybe she just enjoyed the power, the control, the knowledge that she could puppeteer my life while I remained oblivious. Maybe in her twisted way, she thought she was helping. Or maybe she's just deeply, fundamentally broken in a way I'll never understand. I don't think I'll ever get real answers. And I'm learning to be okay with that. What I do know is this. I get to write my own story now. No more sabotage, no more interference, no more slow boil. Just me, figuring out who I am when I'm not being systematically undermined by the person I trusted most. It's terrifying, but it's also kind of exciting. For the first time in 15 years, my life is actually mine. TLDR. Found out my best friend of 15 years has been sabotaging my career, relationships, and friendships through lies, false accusations, and manipulation. Only discovered it because she accidentally CC'd me on an email detailing her latest schemes. Currently dealing with lawyers, police reports, restraining orders, and the psychological aftermath of having my entire adult life undermined by someone I loved and trusted completely. Edit. Thank you for all the supportive comments. To answer common questions. Yes, I have a lawyer. Yes, I filed police reports. Yes, I'm in therapy. And yes, I'm still processing the sheer audacity of someone doing this for 15 years. I'll update if there are major legal developments.